Grand Rising. Happy Tuesday. It is July 22nd, 2025. It is currently 5:15 a.m. in my local time. I was just looking at the calendar to see what the day's length is. 13 hours and 59 minutes long. Sunrise at 6 a.m. Moonrise at 3:16 p.m. Cancer, today is a day of Cancer. And it says breast. I need to do more research and find out what that means. All right, anyways, this is a farmer's calendar. I didn't have one at the beginning of the year, but I have one now. Anyways, distraction. Grand Rising. I hope everybody's having a positive, peaceful, productive start to your day today. If not, I pray that your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, and of course the Most High help you with that today. I also pray that He clothes us in His armor from head to toe, that He strengthens our discernment and guides our steps as we go throughout this day. Hello, Jennifer. How are you? I hope you're having a good morning so far. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. I don't know exactly how many days it's been since I've been here, but I'm here now. So we're going to make the best of it as it falls on the floor. All right. I'm pretty sure this is the same one we got last time. I'm the only one I've got. So I'm going to speak lovingly to myself from sun up to sun up. That means extra compliments hold the critical anxiety spirals. Obviously, we talked about that last time because that's the same mantra we got last time. You know, remembering that no matter where you're at in your life, you are your strongest ally. If you don't love yourself, if you don't value yourself, finding other people that do that may be difficult. Although, you know, we do have people that come into our lives as blessings and they remind us of our value. You know, they lift us up when we're down, but we need to learn how to be that for ourselves, which can be difficult. You know, a lot of times when I'm on here, I talk about what we need to do, but we don't really talk about what goes into that process of, you know, learning what makes you tick, learning what works for you and what doesn't work for you. For everybody, it's different, but you know, I'm sure in some ways the process is still kind of the same. It just may play out physically in different ways. All right, I'm waiting for a grief affirmation. In reality, it's all about repetition. Hi there, how are you? Happy Tuesday. You know, trying over and over again. I'm in Tennessee, United States. Where are you from? Grand Rising. I hope everybody's having a positive, peaceful, productive start to your day today. You know, for me, the last couple days have been very nostalgic. I actually woke up and watched Mary Poppins this morning. I got up at like 2 o'clock this morning, and that kind of just fed into the nostalgia feeling. But nonetheless, the grief affirmation that we got, the reality is that you will grieve forever. You will never get over the loss of a loved one. You will learn to live with it. You will heal and you will rebuild yourself around the loss you have suffered. You will be whole again, but you will never be the same, nor should you be the same, nor would you want to be. You know, and when we talk of loss of a loved one, that doesn't necessarily mean somebody has passed away. Of course, that's what we typically automatically think of when we hear that. But the sad part about it is, the sad reality of it is that we lose people that we love, even though they may still be alive. You know, sometimes we have to walk away from people that we love to do what's best for us. Yes, that can be difficult, but most of us have experienced that in some way, shape, or form in our lives, whether it's friends, family members, place of employment, coworkers. You may really like your coworkers, but really despise your job. But no matter what the case is, we always carry those kindred spirits with us. The moments we shared, the things that, the knowledge that we shared. Hello, good grand rising, good morning. Sing Tupac. Hey, I like Tupac. I actually have a California knows how to party. California knows how to party. In the city of Compton. Is it Dre that he does that song with? Anyways, I don't know, but I do like Tupac. I have a Tupac t-shirt. I remember wow, talking about feeling nostalgic. I guess I was 15 when his 2-disc set came out. I remember going to the music store after school to get his 2-disc set when it came out. Wow, that's a long time ago. Or it feels like a long time ago, when you think about the number of years. But like in mental state, in my subconscious, it really doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Let's see, what year would that have been? 99, 90, 98, 99. Wow, yeah. All right, we got 2 chakra wisdom affirmation cards, but they're both for the same chakra. Sixth chakra, third eye chakra. You have wisdom and discernment and knowledge. So we'll light the incense for that first, which I'm pretty sure is the rose. Yes. We kind of had to take a break from the rose for a while. It's about time for me to get more. Okay, knowledge. I recognize that a great deal of knowledge and information comes to me in the form of intuition, such as clairvoyance, clairaudience, and hypersensitive feelings. We talked about that not long ago, about the different signs that we get from our bodies. Do I like Eminem? I used to back in the day. But now that I'm older and I look at life differently, not so much. But I still know a lot of the lyrics to his songs because I used to listen to that kind of music growing up. It's the one that he does with Dr. Dre, where he's talking about the matches and the gas can. I'm not going to go into that right now. I could remember the lyrics if I really tried, but nonetheless, there are some of his songs that I like. And honestly, I don't think I've listened to any of his new stuff. So, because of the reality of the music industry, it's just not, my taste in music has really changed. Oh, I guess really because I actually pay attention to the lyrics now. Okay. I use my intellect combined with my intuition to delve deep into circumstances from a physiological and spiritual viewpoint. I aim to understand the truth behind situations that come my way, as this helps me to respond with wisdom. I cultivate positive beliefs about life, myself, and others. I mean, that oddly enough goes with what I was just saying. As we get older, as we gain knowledge, we start to not only look at the world differently, but ourselves, people, places, and things that we surround ourselves with. And I guess I must say that, that really depends on the person, because there's some people that choose to kind of stay in the dark and choose not to grow up. So, everybody has their path, I guess. All right, then we got wisdom and discernment. I am open to understanding the spiritual truths behind the situations occurring in my life right now. The who, what, when, where, why. I offer my wisdom to assist others along their path. I trust in a higher source to guide me and to help others who ask for my guidance. I practice discernment and listen deeply within for the truth. I choose to respond to rather than just reacting to situations, acting with clarity, courage, and conviction. Standing up for who you are, standing up for other people, speaking your truth, making decisions based on what's best for you but I shouldn't say instead of, as well as helping others along their journey. We all share different knowledge. What kind of knowledge are you going to share? What are you willing to learn? Are you walking through life with that attitude of, I don't need anybody else, I can do it all on my own? Or are you walking through life with the attitude of, I'm open to receiving help from others in whatever way that help comes in, as well as providing help to others in whatever way that is. That doesn't necessarily mean physically. I say it all the time. Just your time, is so valuable that genuine kindred spirits are going to appreciate the fact that you're willing to give your time, because they understand its value. And sometimes that's all people need from us, is just to stop and be present in the moment. If they need to be heard, hear them. If they need to be comforted, comfort them. We all desire that when we're in those moments of life, whatever those moments may be, where change is in the air. Sometimes we just need that reassurance, that comfort, that support, that encouragement, that understanding. And a lot of times I don't even have to be there to give advice. I'm real leery to give advice because everybody's situation is a little different, and what works for one person might not work the same way for the other person. But at the same time, speaking, if you can share your experiences as far as, kind of trying to give direction. And that is a valuable source to be able to have and to be able to share. Look at that. Service and money is what came out from the Wild Offering Oracle affirmations. We have feelings on the bottom of the deck. Feelings want and need to be felt. They need to be expressed. Positivity on the top of the deck. Boy, oh boy, being positive. That's a deep... That's taken the lid off the well house, because that can, just along with so many other things, can be easier said than done. Maintaining a positive outlook. We all have those days where we get discouraged, or, we give in to the emotions of doubt, or hello, Grand Rising. We give into whatever emotions, feelings, because feelings need to be met or felt. Emotions want to be felt. You really can't surrender something until you deeply feel it. Allow me, dear divine, to offer all emotions to you, feeling them fully so they no longer hold me captive. Once you get it out, Whatever, whether you talk about it, cry about it, write it down, share it with another person, expressing that emotion instead of trying to pretend like it doesn't exist. Like I said, I realize a lot of times the things that we talk about are often things that are easier said than done, because for everybody it's a little bit different. You know, we experience different emotions, we experience different events that trigger those emotions. We're so complex, but yet so simple at the same time. Life in itself is such a contradiction. All right, and then we got service. You stop using the universe to try to get what you want, and you start asking love to use you. You offer all and want to be of service. Ironically, many desires become fulfilled without grasping or manipulation. Acts of service, acts of kindness. Give and you shall receive. You know, I say it at the end of every video. You never know how just one simple interaction with anybody, a complete stranger, a coworker, you know, somebody you meet on the bus, a family member, fellow student. We're all students of life, but just the simplest interaction can not only better your day, change your day, but could ultimately change your life. One seed, just planting one seed of knowledge in somebody else's life or somebody else doing that in your life can totally alter the simplest thing, but also the biggest thing. You know, sometimes I don't know why I always see it this way, but like you're sitting on the bench at a bus stop, right? And you're waiting for the bus. And some person comes and sits on the bench and is waiting with you. You know, a lot of times for me in those situations, like the silence is so loud that it's awkward. And so I feel obligated to say something. And usually, if I wait long enough, I'll get that little gut feeling about what to say or how to interact with that person. But nonetheless, just to set the scene, but that person shares some kind of, you know, just infinite wisdom that helps you make an important decision in your life or helps point you in a more positive direction that day. Maybe you're in a funk and you're just in a negative frame of mind, and you can interact and come in contact with that one person that can turn your day around. I mean, there's so many different examples, there's so many different ways to say it, but just be aware. Be open to the opportunities that come into your life every day. Simple opportunities to meet people, to interact with people, to not only share knowledge, but try to gain knowledge as well. You got money. All my finances are now in divine order. Love itself knows my needs and is the source for all. I needn't cling to gain nor fear loss. Every need will be met through offering all to the divine. You may meet a random stranger that may fill a need that you have. You might be able to do that for somebody else. Yes, maybe financially, but not necessarily. You know, you could share some knowledge with somebody that encourages them to make better decisions with their money that could ultimately, in time, completely affect and alter their whole life. You know, just one seed. Just plant the seed. You don't have to stand there and water it the whole time and watch it grow. Just plant it. And you never know what it can grow into. All right, positivity. If you can find even one thing to be grateful for, it will restore you to the light. Please, dear divine, let me always feel gratitude for something, even a tiny thing, and even the hardest situations. Always finding and having something to be grateful for. We always do. Even if we don't acknowledge them every day, we all have so much to be grateful for. And expressing that gratitude, either by doing a good deed, literally thanking your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, the Most High for everything that they provide, to doing a good deed for somebody else, going back to the acts of service. To quote Spiritual Sag, when I don't ever quote it directly because I can't remember exactly how she said it, but when you're nervous, perform acts of service. When you're nervous about something, when I talk about it often, when you're in that waiting time where, you've made changes in your life, whatever changes might be, and you're in that kind of limbo zone waiting for the new things to come in, use that time wisely and do good things for other people. Offer your time and your energy to other people or to nature, volunteer work, get out and go for a walk and pick up litter along while you're out there walking. You know what I mean? We got Massachusetts and Minnesota that came out with our educational moment state card. 2 M's, M&M's. My grandma always called them M&M's. She didn't say the N. My grandmother was hard of hearing impaired, I should say. And she never put the N in there. She always just said M&M's. That's interesting. Remember, I told you I've been feeling a lot of nostalgic energy here lately. All right, so we got St. Paul is the capital of Minnesota, the North Star State, the Gopher State. It became a state May 11th, 1858. The state bird is the common loon. The state flower is the lady's slipper. The state motto, the Star of the North. Minnesota. All right, quick fact. The Mall of America is located in Bloomington and covers 4.2 million square feet. Wow. I've never been to the Mall of America. That's totally not my thing. Although I would probably have a good time because it's shopping, but never been there, never really had the desire to go there. But Bloomington, the North Star State, the Star of the North, Minnesota. The Star of the North. Is this Paula Abdul? I believe this is Paula Abdul on the radio. All right. Then Massachusetts. Capital is Boston. The nickname is the Bay State. It became a state February 6th, 1788. The state bird is the chickadee. The state flower is the Mayflower. The state motto, by the sword we seek peace, but peace only under liberty. Wow. By the sword we seek peace, but peace only under liberty. Quick facts. The first basketball game was played in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1891. 1891. First football game. Wow. That's quite a while back. All right, so there's our educational moments for the day. We don't normally take 2, but we got 2 today. Massachusetts, and Minnesota. Now we'll pull from the Affirmators deck. Self-help without all the self-helpiness. Last time we got get centered, engagement, vitality, and no judgment. This is always a judgment-free zone. None of us have any right to judge. This world definitely could use a lot more empathy and knowledge and understanding. Being more empathetic towards ourselves, but also to our fellow humans. Remembering that we are all spiritual beings here having a human experience. We are the avatars. All right. Affirmations from the Affirmators deck. Manifestation, another M. Grand Rising, happy Tuesday. Let's keep track of what time it is. 5:38 a.m. All right, and then we got gentleness on the bottom of the deck. Personal growth on the top of the deck. So something significant about the letter M. We've got 3 M's out here. Massachusetts, Minnesota, and then manifestation. Manifestation is one of the bonus cards out of this deck. If you could have anything you wanted, what would it be? Get specific and get greedy. You are holding a magic wand and you can conjure up anything. Could it be that when you declare your wishes out loud, you're actually casting a spell for your dreams to come true? Or is it just that in a very practical sense, the more people you speak with about your desires, the more folks there are who know what you want and might have the means to help you make them happen? What were we talking about already this morning? Either way, stop waiting and start manifesting. But don't use that word if you don't want to, because there's such a dark cloud over that type of talk. Manifestation, casting a spell, calling it, using different terms for the same thing. You know, and in some circles they call it chanting, and some circles they call it praying. You know, but in reality it's all the same. It just people call it something different. All right, then we got gentleness. I speak with gentleness and I listen with gentleness. I align with the gentlest part of myself and I take joy in being receptive, open, and unafraid. I'm like a baby deer who's best friends with a baby elephant. The baby elephant wraps its little trunk around my shoulders and we lie down gently on the grass, daydreaming and talking about what sorts of humans the clouds look like. Um, Interestingly enough, this frog is riding a bike. Personal growth. Yeah. Obviously much needed for Lucifer. You need some personal growth in your life. I hope you're having a peaceful, positive, productive day. Happy Tuesday. As I move toward greater consciousness, I feel old thoughts and habits fall away. What do they call those things that nuns wear? Habits, right? Yeah. Like training wheels on a bike, they helped me get to where I am. But now I can ride. I don't need those slow and crummy wheels, except when I'm making bike analogies. Embracing personal growth, embracing your manifestation abilities, knowing that your words have power, speaking it into existence. Even scripture tells us we have not because we ask not. There is power of life and death in the tongue. Personal growth as far as being gentle with yourself, being gentle with others, going back to what we talked about earlier, the empathy and the sympathy. Forgive them for they know not what they do. Forgive people for their ignorance. Forgive people for the way that they if they disrespect you or offend you in some way. Forgive them. You know, focus on personal growth. Focus on positivity. Focus on acts of service. Going back to our affirmations from this morning, the feelings, service, money, and positivity. All right, now we'll pull from the Angels of Abundance deck. Last time we got block out distractions, ask for your needs to be met, and employment change. A lot of times when we make big leaps in our personal growth journey, that will lead to employment change because we're no longer happy in the environments that we used to be happy in. We no longer used to okay. I'm not going to sit there and keep looking at that over and over again. Hopefully he's not here anymore. All right. Angels of Abundance Oracle deck. Detaching from people, places, and things that no longer serve you. Detaching from, things that are distracting you from your goals. Going back to our chakra affirmations this morning, wisdom and discernment and knowledge. We talk about it here often. Just because you have the knowledge doesn't mean you're applying it. There's a big difference between having the knowledge and actually applying the knowledge to your life. No more complaining. Attracting, not chasing on the bottom of the deck. Windfall of abundance on the top of the deck. And I know I say it a lot, but remember that abundance doesn't necessarily mean financial. Abundance can come in all shapes and sizes. No more complaining. Complaints are affirmations of victimhood, which are never true spiritually. Take back your God-given power by affirming that you have an abundance of choices and freedom, which your increased confidence and assertiveness with your increased confidence and assertiveness. Watch these positive affirmations blossom into reality. Very much lining up with the manifestation affirmation that we got from the Affirmators deck. Going back to exactly what I just said, your words have power. If you're constantly complaining, you're just going to bring more of that negative energy in. You're going to find more to complain about. Instead of complaining, focus on the positive. Maybe you are unhappy with your job, but your job is bringing in money. So find ways to create positive energy in your work environment. Doesn't necessarily have to be a job, but just, when you catch yourself complaining, we talk about it kind of a lot, really. Flipping the script in your mind to where, like, when you catch yourself, when you realize that's what you're doing, try to flip the script in your head to where you find things to be grateful for instead of things to complain about. Instead of complaining about the fact that you have to get up at stupid o'clock in the morning, be grateful that your body is physically able to do that. Be grateful that you have a job to go to that requires you to get up that early. You know what I mean? There's always a way to flip it. I talk about that a lot like, when you're dealing with a negative situation that keeps popping up in your head and you're thinking about bad memories, flip the script and force yourself to think about the good memories. All right, then we have attracting, not chasing. Anything or anyone you chase after will run the other way because of the fears underlying chasing energy. Instead, attract what you need by sending out love, gratitude, and welcoming energy. A lot of being aware of your words, being aware how you talk about your situation, how you talk about your goals and your dreams. Very much lining up with the manifestation, speaking gentle words, encouraging personal growth, but being gentle with yourself, being gentle with whatever situation you're dealing with, whether it's a job, school, family, friends, whatever it is. All right, then you got windfall of abundance. Very much lining up with the manifestation energy. An increase of abundance is arriving in many different forms, some of them unexpected. Be open to receiving and know that this abundance comes to you to support your life purpose, health, and charitable work. So, once again, when you do get those blessings, when you do get those bonuses, those pleasant surprises of abundance, whether it's physical, financial, emotional, spiritual, whatever that is, don't forget to give back. Going back to the acts of service that we got with the affirmations this morning, you offer all and want to be of service. Ironically, many desires become fulfilled without grasping or manipulation. So, kind of that don't forget where you came from kind of energy. Don't forget that when you get to the top, don't forget that you were once at the bottom and that all it would take is one significant occurrence and you could be right back to the bottom. So, being grateful for where you are in life, speaking positively about where you're at and where you desire to go within life, that is personal growth. Being aware of your words, being aware of the energy that you're bringing into the room. All right, now we're going to pull from the Namaste deck, the Stress Less deck. Last time we got water your body. Not just by drinking water, which is obvious, also watering your heart, mind, body, spirit, soul, watering yourself spiritually, and then also watering your external body, playing in the rain, going swimming in a wild natural water source. That can have a very cleansing effect, whether it's a creek, a beach, a pond. That was quick. Whatever it is, a natural water source will have a lot of healing abilities. Hugs are free love. Imagine what it feels like to receive a hug. Now imagine what it feels like to receive a hug from someone you love. There's a huge difference. Just by imagining a hug from someone who is dear and special to your heart, you can feel the sensation of love course through your body. Your body doesn't realize the person you are thinking of isn't there. A hug is a connection, just like thinking of someone is a connection. Imagining a hug from someone dear to you can bring you a connection similar to if you were hugging your special person in real life. This positive connection will course through your body and help reduce stress. Going back to what we talked about with the grief affirmation, you know, whether that's a loved one that you have lost to death, or just somebody that you care about, that you have a deep connection with that's not necessarily around. If you really take the time to quiet your energy and the energy around you and just sit in silence, 5 minutes is a good starting point. And just really try to hear the silence. The more you can do that, the more you'll be able to feel that hugging energy when you need it. A lot of times our sensory system is so overloaded that we don't even hear our own body talking to us in the ways of feelings, sensations. We talked about that last time, and it came up at the very beginning of the video. Really taking the time to try that. That's basically like a meditation of sorts. But really try quieting your energy and quieting your mind, and then imagine that hug. It is difficult, especially if you're an overthinker. If you have a busy mind, it may take you a lot longer than 5 minutes. But just like with anything else, the more you practice, the easier it'll get. And, you know, whether you're trying to feel a spiritual hug or whether you're doing it for other reasons, the benefits are limitless. Really trying and making it a point to get that quiet time. So quieting the space around you so that you can decompress and so that you can quiet your own mind, so you can hear the internal instead of the external. Okay, I feel like I went off on a ramble. Angel numbers. Last time we got 4442, signs 1313, seek comfort, and 1177, growth. 4252 on the timer when I looked. Personal growth is something that we should all strive to work on every day. You know, being aware of different habits or triggers, or just, you know, little touch-ups that we can make throughout the day. You know, whether it's on a day-to-day basis, whether you set goals, whichever, you know, whether it's sporadic or planned, really paying attention to who we really are instead of who we're told we're supposed to be or who we're taught to be. That, believe it or not, that can be very difficult. It's very difficult to unlearn and to, once you've been programmed, and I know programmed is kind of a negative word, but once you've been taught something for so long and it's so deeply engraved, it can take years to unlearn something. 66, but don't worry. Every day is an opportunity to remain optimistic. That's the second word on this card. Calm, optimistic, joy, trust, release, and soul's mission. Number 1 on the bottom of the deck, focus on self first. What was I just talking about? And 2020, strength on the bottom of the deck. Yes, it takes strength. It takes optimism. It takes perseverance. It takes faith. Faith in self, faith in the universe, faith in the Most High, your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, faith that everything happens for a reason. But just like everything else, we have to play our part. If you choose to be, what is it, a NPC, non-player character, if you choose to be a non-player character in your own life, that's your choice. We all have free will, but number one priority should be to focus on self. Independence, confidence, authenticity, new beginnings, and self-pursuit. Not saying that in a selfish way, like me, it's all about me. Not like that, but in a personal growth sense. When we're speaking of personal growth, instead of being what other people want us to be, or instead of following the crowd and wearing this or listening to this or doing this or going, whatever the case may be. Really taking the time to find out what your true desires are, what really interests you, what brings you joy, what brings you confidence, what brings you positivity. And as long as it brings you positivity, you will spread that positivity wherever you go, to whoever you meet. Focus on self first. This is your time to focus on yourself. Embrace your independence and stand confidently in your truth. Unapologetically be you. New beginnings are on the horizon, making this the perfect moment to start fresh and pursue your dreams with renewed energy. What steps can I take today to honor my independence and stay true to myself? Take time today to set clear intention for a new beginning in your life. Focus on what truly matters to you and take one small step towards achieving it. Personal growth. What's one area where you could grow a little bit better? Maybe you can set a goal of, I want to drink 3 bottles of water today instead of just 1. Or I want to wake up at 4 o'clock this morning instead of 5. Or, I'm really unhappy in my career choice, so I'd like to pursue, a different avenue. Is there education that's needed for that avenue? Take the time to really think about where you want to go. What do you want to do? What is something that you could do that would bring you joy, that either is something that is just like a one-time thing, or something that you need to strive to accomplish? Have you been saying, going back to the wild water that we were talking about earlier, have you been saying, I'm going to go swimming, and you still haven't gone? Go swimming. Take a day. Go spend a day in nature. Soak up some sun. Soak up some natural healing water. I've been craving going swimming lately, actually. If it wouldn't have been like all thundering and crazy, like the angels were fighting out there yesterday, I would have gotten out and played in the rain, but I'm not trying to get struck by lightning. So, all right, then we got 66. Don't worry. Calm, optimism, joy, trust, release, and soul's mission. If you've been consumed by worry, fear, or concerns about the physical world, it's time to shift your focus. Move from stressing over material needs to joyfully pursuing your soul's mission with optimism. Remembering that happiness is a conscious choice, not an automatic response. You can become very bitter and very unhappy very quickly if you allow this world to do that to you. In what areas of my life am I letting worry hold me back? And how can I redirect my focus towards my soul's mission? Identify one worry or fear that has been consuming your thoughts and take a step today towards a joyful pursuit of your soul's mission, focusing on positive outcomes and actions. Going back to our positivity, putting a positive foot forward every day, finding something to be grateful for every day. If you have to, flipping the script in your mind and finding something positive in a negative situation. Don't worry. Worry just brings more anxiety, more stress. I realize that is easier said than done. It takes a lot of strength not to worry. It takes a lot of strength to step out in faith, to push through the fear in whatever, a lot of times when we're in that energy, we feel out of control because things are happening around us that we can't do anything about. Going back to our affirmations, I can only control me. I'm the only me I've got, so I'm going to speak lovingly to myself from sunup to sunup. Being kind and gentle towards yourself, especially in those times where you're being tested. Strength, resilience, courage, inner power, determination, fortitude, and endurance. Draw on your inner strength during challenging times. Your resilience can lead to personal growth. Stay focused and remain open-minded as you navigate each step of your journey. In what areas of my life do I need to harness my inner strength? How can I stay resilient and focused despite challenges? Identify one challenge you are currently facing and create a plan to address it. Remind yourself of past successes where you overcame difficulties and draw strength from those experiences. So, going back to what we talked about last week, and we talk about it a lot, really, acknowledging where you were and where you are now. Now, depending on your situation, you could have been in a positive situation and now you're in a negative, or you could have been in a negative and now you're in a positive. But accepting the reality of what is, trying your best not to get stuck in analysis paralysis. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase before. It was relatively new to me. And, once I accepted the fact that I am on the spectrum, a lot of things really started to make sense because I was able to branch out and connect with people, 5323 on the timer, connect with people that helped me understand that some of the things that I deal with, a lot of other people deal with too. And the analysis paralysis is very common. We get stuck in the thinking stage and we don't put it to action. Going back to the 66, don't worry. Focusing on positive actions and outcomes. When we act positively, when we take action, when we actually take that step, is when change will begin to occur. But if we stay in that place of just overthinking everything, we're going to stay in that place because we're never actually going to take action. It's a difficult place to be in, and depending on what the full situation is, it can be very daunting, very, very stressful, very emotional. It can be a very emotional process to pull yourself out of that. All right, now we're going to pull from the Celestial Insights. Last time we got accept, allure, cherish, and honor. My one foot is getting cold. I actually finally got to see a doctor last week about my ankle, And as it stands right now, he suggested an MRI, but without the MRI, just going based on the physical exam, I have developed arthritis in my ankle. Me and him basically determined that because I have injured that same ankle so many times, and honestly, most of the times never really did anything about it, just treated it at home, it has developed arthritis. So, yay! But that being said, because of that and because of other reasons, I'm going to be getting a rebounder. So I'm fixing to do a bunch of product reviews on my other channel. I will share them on the community page of this channel, and I'll also share them on my Facebook channel or Facebook page. So, Sturdy and Inspiration wanted to show themselves. But I've ordered several things over the last couple months that I'm going to do some product reviews on. All right, we got Balance and Marriage. Barrier Maze on the bottom of the deck. Tree on the top of the deck. The Tree of Life. Balance. The ebb and flow. Finding balance in your life. The balance between the spiritual and the physical. And we've seen the marriage card before. With the marriage, remember, that doesn't necessarily mean like a love marriage, even though that's what it shows on this card. That could be looked at from several different perspectives. All right, balance. Balance is the key to a harmonious life. Have you been feeling out of sync? Adjust how you spend your time and energy to ensure you maintain a healthy equilibrium. So balance, the balance of work and play, the balance of dark and light, the balance of positive and negative, balance of giving to others versus giving to yourself. All right, then we got marriage. Marriage is a blend of love, trust, and responsibility. Are you considering a deeper commitment? Ensure you are ready for the responsibility and challenges that come with it. Okay, so looking at it from a different perspective, looking at it from a commitment perspective, that could be committing to a new job. That could be committing to moving to a new location, committing to anything, not necessarily from a love perspective. You could be, committing to a business partner or committing to a family, making an obligation to your family, whatever the case may be. Be cautious of the commitments that you make. Make sure you analyze the pros and cons, the benefits that you're going to receive, but also the responsibility that that's going to put on you. All right, barrier maze. Confusion may feel overwhelming, but remember that every maze has an exit. You might be struggling with difficult problems, but shifting your perspective could reveal a solution. What were we talking about earlier? Looking at things from a different perspective. When you feel overwhelmed, when you feel stuck in a negative frame of mind, flipping the script and trying to find the positive in a negative situation. Trying to find a different way, In a maze, the door is never where you think it is, right? You always have to wander to find the door. So I don't know why I'm getting Alice in Wonderland vibes from that. If if you've been knocking on the same door for a long time and that door still hasn't opened, maybe you need to pick a different door. I don't know why I'm seeing it that way. All right, then you got tree. Like a tree, deep roots create stability and growth. Are you feeling ungrounded? Focus on building a strong foundation in all areas of your life to support your long-term growth. Long-term growth lining up with personal growth. The tree of life. You know, we have to have strong roots to support a big, healthy tree. And those roots start within. No matter whether you're talking about emotionally, physically, spiritually, all roots start within. When you focus on your internal, it will reflect externally. When you work on you, it will show on the outside. You won't have to tell people that you're doing it. They'll see it. All right. Now we'll pull from this is one of the new decks. The Mystical Dream deck. Last time we got Wolf, Maze, and Altar. Double confirmation on the maze. Look at that. Maze. Barrier maze. The movie Labyrinth with David Bowie. I think that came up last time when we actually got this card. Life is a journey. It's possible for us to forget who we are. Going back to the Alice in Wonderland reference, the scene, it came up not too long ago in one of the other videos, the scene where, and actually I tried to play it last night and it wouldn't play. The scene where Alice meets the caterpillar and he says, "Who are you?" And she says, "Well, I don't know who I am." And he says, "How can you not know who you are?" You know, we forget who we are. We get lost along the way. And it's a journey. It's a maze to find our way back to who we truly are. The movie Labyrinth is the same thing. She goes into the different world, and by the time she gets back to her world, she realizes how good it really is, and all the things that she has to be grateful for, and all the things that she took for granted. We all go through that in our lives. Well, hopefully, if you're on your journey of awakening and healing and being true to who you are and all that jazz, you've experienced that before, whether on a small scale or a big scale. Miley Cyrus, Flowers on the Radio. All right, mystical dreams. Let's learn some more about our dreams. Wedding. Shut up. Car on the bottom of the deck. And flame on the top of the deck. Okay, now that is crazy, okay? Because we don't normally talk about that kind of stuff here. But marriage and wedding. What? Weddings. Now, of course, remember that with these cards, we're talking about our dreams. So if you dream about this stuff, weddings symbolize union, commitment, and new beginnings. Dreaming of a wedding suggests a turning point in your life, signaling harmony and a fresh start. Whether in relationships or personal growth, It reflects a desire for commitment and responsibility, leading to a deeper connection and a new chapter in life. Where else? What other card did we get where it was talking about connections? There's something under my rug back here, and it's got, oh, it's the strap to my book bag. Okay. It got, sorry, squirrel. It distracted me. um, the attracting and not chasing. You know, when going back to what I said earlier about when you work on the external, it will show, or I mean, you work on the internal, it'll show externally. When you work on your own energy, when you work on healing you and being true to who you are, you will attract the right community, the right support, the right people into your life, the right situations. All right, then we got car. Car symbolizes the direction and movement of your life. Dreaming of a car suggests you are navigating your personal journey. Driving the car indicates control over your path, while being a passenger may suggest reliance on others or external influences. The car's condition reflects your emotional state or life circumstances, reminding you to find balance and avoid rushing or stagnating. Confirmation on the balance energy, finding balance, whether that's balance between work and play, family and self, spiritual and physical, whatever that is, balance. And then we got flame. The flame symbolizes both creation and destruction, representing transformation and cleansing. Dreaming of a flame indicates that an inner energy is awakening, possibly a surge of passion. The flame may also represent a spiritual purification process, burning away unnecessary emotions or beliefs. Fire is not just about destruction, it also signifies new life, the possibility of rebirth from brokenness. I can't remember when it came up, but it came up where I talked about, you know, when they burn away like the brush and the old trees and briars and stuff, they burn it all away and then it comes back green and lush, like they burn it on purpose. Kind of the same thing. They do that purification process with gold, but it also happens in nature as well. We got book on the bottom of the deck. I noticed that as I'm putting it up. Anytime I see a picture like that with a book, I always think of that old show, Reading Rainbow. Reading Rainbow. I can fly twice as high. Take a look. It's in a book. It's Reading Rainbow. I could probably sing the whole song if I took the time to think about the words, but I won't do that to you. I am going to take a pause real quick and turn my fan on. Okay. All right, this is the Echoes of the Soul Oracle deck. It's also one of the new decks. 621 real time in my area. This is the one that has a two-part deck. Like, I really wish they would have done a book instead of this, but I'm going to quit saying that because I say that every time I get this deck out. But nonetheless, I like the wording and the messages that it gives, but I just think that It was a, they could have done it a better way. Okay, one more shuffle. 8 and 16 on the cut as we're getting started. The weight of reflection and neon solitude. 8 and 16. 16 can be divided by 8. 8 is a denominator of 16. So a common denominator. The quiet story. Idle reverie. And the glamorous veil. They didn't flip over, but they just kind of floated on the top of my hand there for a minute. So I wanted to acknowledge them. Especially considering that this is kind of a new deck. The cards are still kind of glossy. There we go. The Clouded Mind. Ooh, number 4. Crimson Resolve, number 35 on the bottom of the deck. That looks messy. Veil of Silence on the top of the deck, 25. We won't read the whole messages for each one because these messages are kind of long, but we'll at least touch on all of them. The Clouded Mind is what actually came out, so that's the one we're going to read. Key themes: overwhelm, mental fog, seeking clarity, inner calm, realignment through stillness. What were we already talking about this morning? Practicing the pause, practicing that quiet time, finding time to be still. The message: when your thoughts are tangled and the world feels chaotic, remember that clarity does not come from forcing resolution. It arises from surrendering to stillness. A clouded mind, like a stormy sky, will eventually clear if you give it the space to settle. Step back, breathe deeply, and allow the chaos to recede. In the quiet, your path will become visible. Wow. This card is a reminder that mental fog and overwhelm are natural responses to overstimulation, stress, or uncertainty. Pushing through the haze often leads to greater confusion. Instead, allow yourself to pause and recalibrate. Clarity comes not from action alone, but from mindful stillness. When this card appears, it's a call to release the pressure of needing all the answers immediately and to trust the process of grounding yourself first. The affirmation: I find clarity through stillness. With patience and presence, I allow fog to lift and my path to reveal itself. Actionable insight. This week, dedicate at least 10 minutes each day to the practice of stillness. Dude, what was I talking about? I literally talked about that. I love it. All right, I said 5 minutes, but okay, I can't, okay. This could be meditation, deep breathing, or simply sitting quietly without distractions. Use this time to observe your thoughts without judgment and let your mind settle. If a particular area of overwhelm arises, write down one small, manageable step you can take to address it. This is very much lining up with our angel numbers. Reflection. The clouded mind reminds you that clarity is not something to be chased, but something to be invited. Going back to attracting, not chasing from our Angels of Abundance deck. By stepping back and creating space for stillness, you empower your mind to untangle itself and reveal the insights you need. Trust that within the quiet, the answers will come. What area of your life feels clouded right now? And how can you create space for stillness to allow clarity to emerge? Beautiful. Very much triple confirmation what we already talked about this morning. All right, now we'll read just the cliff notes of the other two, 35 and 25. 25 is the veil of silence. Key themes: introspection, solitude, quiet transformation, self-awareness, and inner truth. Wow. The affirmation: in the stillness of silence, I hear the whispers of my soul. I honor this quiet space as a source of wisdom and clarity. Literally, these cards are confirming themselves, but confirming everything that we've talked about this morning. All right, and then we got 35, Crimson Resolve. This looks like a bloody scene in this picture. Pain, resilience, transformation through suffering, strength in vulnerability, and renewal. The affirmation: my pain is a source of strength and transformation. Through resilience and vulnerability, I rise renewed and empowered. I mean, how can I even add anything to that? Yes, it takes strength to make that time, but make that time. It takes strength to block out the noise of the world. All right. Now, this is the other new deck, the Nature Seasons. Last time we got potential and transformation, intuition and mystery, harvest and fulfillment, and optimism and happiness. We did see we do have the don't worry out here, number 66 in the angel numbers. Calm, optimism, joy, trust, release, and soul's mission. Number 1, focus on self first, independence, confidence, authenticity, new beginnings, and self-pursuit. And then 2020, strength, resilience, courage, inner peace, determination, fortitude, and endurance. Personal growth, gentleness, manifestation. I'm listening to the dogs. Windfall of abundance, attracting, not chasing, no more complaining. Positivity, service, feelings, and money. Wisdom and discernment, knowledge. I'm the only one I've got, so I'm going to speak lovingly to myself from sunup to sunup. That means extra compliments, hold the critical anxiety spirals. Vitality and creativity is what came out. Wit and adaptability on the bottom of the deck. Diligence and cooperation under that, which is what was on the bottom of the deck when I started. Beauty and expression. Release and healing. Do to me, oh, it's what you do to me. Oh, it's what you do to me. what you do to me. That's what song's on the radio right now. All right, vitality and creativity. Now is the time to unleash your inner creativity. Don't be afraid to express. I put those in the... Damn. Vastness and possibility, freedom and change, wishes and miracles. Fell out. Don't be afraid to express yourself. Pursue the goals that ignite your passion. Whether through art, work, or the little things in life, allow yourself to shine. What were we talking about at the very beginning of the video? Doing what brings you joy. Doing what makes you happy. Wit and adaptability. This says summer. The key word on this is summer. She's painting sunflowers. All right, and then we got Fox, wit and adaptability. Today requires adaptability. Change is inevitable, but those who can adjust quickly will find opportunities in the chaos. Stay calm, respond flexibly, and use your cleverness to find the best solution. Then we got beauty and expression. The key word is flower. That is tulips. It's time to show your beauty and uniqueness. Bloom like a flower and let your thoughts and feelings flow freely. Whether it's through art, words, or actions, let yourself express fully. Then you got release and healing. Keyword lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse symbolizes release and healing. Today it is time to let go of old burdens, especially emotional ones. Through releasing, you make space for new energy to flow in. Well, what were we talking about earlier? Out with the old, in with the new. You know, closing the door on the old and opening the door and allowing the new in. We talked about, you know, being in limbo. Don't get stuck in limbo, you know. All right, and then we got diligence and cooperation with keyword bee. It's got the bumblebees, the honeybees on it. Hard work and spirit of cooperation will be the key to success. Focus your energy like the bee and stay determined. The power of teamwork will bring unexpected results. Believe that collective effort will create a brighter future. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby. Whether that's your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, the Most High, your spiritual team, or whether that's your crew, your team here on Earth. Surround yourself with like-minded people so that you can help them and they can help you bring those dreams to fruition. All right, now we'll pull from the Animal Allies deck. Last time we got Cardinal, Stork, and Crane. I have to move some of these cards around. Making personal growth a priority. Releasing and healing people, places, and things that no longer serve you. Being adaptable, you know, but at the same time, don't be so adaptable that you're not true to who you are. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to be flexible, but it's completely different to completely bend yourself in half for somebody. You know what I mean? That requires a lot of work and effort. So make sure you're giving that energy to the right people, places, and situations. Car, wedding, and flame. I may not be able to do shorts of those today, but I will do them at some point. But I do have to work today, so. $25, 125.08 when I first looked at the timer. All right, Animal Allies. I may not have shuffled it good enough. Hold on. Remember to be gentle. It talked about hard work and the spirit of cooperation will be the key to success. It's making me think of that Angels of Abundance card. Cooperation, not competition. You know, sometimes it can be difficult to work in a team, especially if that's something that you're not used to doing. But in those difficult moments, be gentle. You know, going back to the no more complaining from the Angels of Abundance. Put out positive so that you will attract a positive instead of chasing it. That's way too many. We attract whatever we put out. So if you put out positive, eventually you will attract positive. If you put out negative, eventually you will get negative. If you're fake, you'll get fake. If you're real, you'll get real. It may not necessarily be what you want, but you'll get it. Woodpecker is what flipped over, but starling, kingfisher, and puffin fell out. Cockatoo on the top of the deck. We'll just take the one today. All right, woodpecker. Woodpecker superpowers. Being in sync with the natural world, courage, motivation, a second wind, discernment, restructuring old habits and routines. Woodpecker wisdom. Smart workarounds are always available. You simply need to look for them and decide when to employ them. When woodpecker appears, realign with what matters most to you. Realize that you can answer the door because opportunity is knocking. Wow, what did I say about if you've been knocking on the door for so long and it never opened, maybe it's time to knock on a different door? Wow. When woodpecker appears, realign with what matters most to you. Realize that you can answer the door because opportunity is knocking. Woodpecker wants you to know you are in charge of the way you respond to your reality. You can change directions, choose a new path, and meet opportunities and challenges with creativity or surrender. Wow. We got vitality and creativity. Do what makes you happy. You know, do what are you good at? If you walked through one door and you didn't get the results that you wanted, come back out in the hallway and pick another door type thing. You know what I mean? For sure. Sometimes something we think we enjoy something, but enjoying it and for an extended amount of time, that's a little bit more difficult. Like, it has to be something you really, really enjoy to be able to do it every day, for 8 hours a day and not get tired of doing it. So, the key is to build a life that you don't need a vacation from. You know what I mean? Have a job, have a life that, you don't have to take a week-long vacation from it. Every day you can enjoy your life as it is without needing to run away to find your joy. I hope that made sense. I feel like I stumbled over my words a little bit, but we're supposed to be happy all the time, not just 1 week out of the year or whatever. People do different things for vacations. I don't do vacations because I want to build a life, a daily routine that I don't need a vacation from. There was a time in my life where I did stay stressed out and overwhelmed all the time to where, I was envious and jealous of people that got to take vacations. But, now I'm happy that I have a quiet, simple life that, I don't have all the stress and anxiety and drama, so I don't need a vacation. Like, every day I have little things that I do or little things that I accomplish or that I enjoy that, bring happiness and joy into my everyday life instead of me having to chase it down. All right, Wandering Heart Oracle. Last time we got shelter and reclaim your power. Definitely. I mean, the day that we stand up and reclaim power over our lives and we say, I don't want to work for the man my whole life. I don't want to give somebody the power and authority to determine, what days I can go on a picnic and what days I can't. You know what I mean? Like, when we get to that point in our lives to where we choose a happier path, it's a ripple effect. It's a snowball effect. Once you make that change in one area of your life, eventually it bleeds into all the other areas of your life, which is a good thing. Be gentle with yourself during that process. Remember that your words have power. There's power of life and death in the tongue. All right. Wandering Heart Oracle. Honeymoon. Number 12. Then we have Two-Face on the bottom of the deck. 32. And Sacrifice 4 on the top of the deck. I really don't like the picture of the Sacrifice card. It makes me sad, but, it's the reality of nature. Okay, Honeymoon, Two-Face, and Sacrifice. And we do already have Marriage and Wedding out here. So the start of something new, whether that's in love, whether that's just in life in general, with the sacrifice, sometimes we have to sacrifice people, places, and things. Wow, it just came full circle. Sometimes we have to walk away from people that we love, even though we still love them. Sometimes we have to sacrifice, things that we enjoy doing because they're not necessarily good for us. You know what I mean? Are we willing to sacrifice what we have for better? And you know what I'm seeing in my mind's eye right now? That picture, like, there's all kinds of different versions of it. It's a painting, there's digital versions, but there's a little girl and she's holding a little teddy bear. And then there's a depiction of Jesus on the other side of her, like looking at her, and he has a really big teddy bear behind his back. And it talks about, how we're afraid to let go of what we have because we can't see what the universe has for us. If we could see what was waiting on the other side of sacrifice, we would move. We wouldn't hesitate. You know what I mean? We would sacrifice that teddy bear in a heartbeat if we knew that we had a real, like, cuddly panda bear waiting on the other side. You know, like if you had a stuffed panda and you've had that panda ever since you were a kid, and you've held on through it, through, trials and tribulations, all to find out that, you could have had a real panda if you would have just, I know that's an extreme example, but you get my point. Like, if we only knew what was waiting on the other side of said sacrifice or change or, choice that needs to be made. All right. The first one we got was Honeymoon, number 12, which has 2 swans. And notice the locust flowers in the water. This chapter is titled Euphoria, Cloud 9 Desire. Nothing feels better than falling in love. The early stages are always the most memorable, but also the quickest. Seize each moment of every day. Pay attention to yourself or your lover. Communicate as effectively as you know how. Express your wants and your needs and ask your partner to do the same. For each other, dress up, take pictures, create scrapbooks, write poems, make playlists for one another. Find time for intimacy. Most importantly, never set unrealistic expectations for yourself or others. Now, something that I want to reiterate, look at it from a perspective of not a relationship, but just your relationship with self. Okay? If you do all that with yourself, then when, a partner or a lover comes into your life, it will already be second nature to do that. You will love them the way you love yourself. All right. You are immersed in delight. You have fallen in love again. You found someone to be soft with after what feels like a lifetime of numbness. If single, you have fallen in love with your softness again. Going back to the gentleness you saw from the Affirmators deck. You have faith in the power that delicacy holds. You're treating your life like a playground, having a ball, living in curiosity. Work is picking up, ideas are flowing, and you feel like the you that you love the most. So going back to what we talked about before, loving yourself enough to do what's best for you, carrying that energy will bring people in that will also carry that energy. And then what do you got? You got a team. You got a family. You got a clique, a circle, a group, whatever, where you have the same feelings. You encourage each other to be positive. You encourage each other to be strong, to push through the sacrifice. That can-do attitude is a lot easier to have when you're around other people that have that same attitude and that share it with others. That's what we should all do. Like, if I put all that I have in as far as energy wise, like if I am happy and positive and encouraging and gentle and all these things, that's gonna kind of rub off on the people that are around me, and then those people, they're gonna feed that energy back to me, and so that circuit of energy is never broken. It's just a constant flow. I don't know if that made sense. I hope it did. All right, now Two-Face 32. Keep your heart open, keep your mind sharp, stay vigilant. deception, and judgment, going all the way back to our third eye, sixth chakra affirmation, wisdom and discernment, using discernment. You are not to be trusted. You are quick to negotiate your worth and to hand your power away if it means you do not have to work hard for respect. You betray yourself by not caring enough about your evolution. You are working hard to put yourself back together. There's no such thing as too fast or too slow. Development takes refusal and engagement. Take care of your obligations. Everything else can wait. Act on how you feel. Be free from the thoughts and opinions of others, even if that means pulling back from your people for a while. Trust in your ability to do the right thing. After all, you have the final say. Going back to our morning mantra, I am the only me I've got. So I'm going to speak lovingly to myself from sunup to sunup. We teach people how to treat us. If you allow people to disrespect you if somebody disrespects you and they still get the best of you, they're going to continue to disrespect you. You know, we really do teach people how to treat us. All right. 6:53 real time. All right, let's do this. I've been jabbering too much. Sacrifice. May your sacrifices be acknowledged and appreciated. Servant and Godspeed. You are being called to introduce new themes of healing to your community. You are being pulled to teach others how to love themselves. For once, this is not about you and you only. However, you will not be able to guide a soul if you yourself are still wandering. This is a time to become a recluse. Reserve your vitality for the most significant of things. Master stillness. Share what you've learned when the time is right. What was I talking about at the beginning of the video? Sharing what we've learned on our journey with others, vice versa. You know, you never know how sharing a story, sharing a testimony, just sharing your energy can help somebody, including yourself. Going back to what we talked about earlier, when we talk about our feelings, when we express our feelings and we get them out of us, the release and healing, the beauty and expression that comes from that, the vitality and creativity, once you're able to kind of, as we say figuratively, you know, take those bricks off your back, lighten the load. It's amazing the difference that it can make. All right, now we're going to pull from the Chakra Wisdom Oracle. Last time we got balance, confusion, and destiny, and we've got balance out here today. Balance is the key to a harmonious life. Have you been feeling out of sync? Adjust how you spend your time and energy to ensure you maintain a healthy equilibrium. Balance between work and home, balance between work and play, balance how much energy you give to others versus how much you give yourself. Finding that balance can be difficult. Calm Down is the song on the radio. We do have number 66, don't worry. My papa always used to say, be cool, baby, be cool. Just calm down, be cool. Because I tell you what, I mean, I have to admit that when I get fired up, I get fired up. Sometimes it's a good fired up, sometimes it's a bad fired up, but it makes me smile to think of that memory. You know, I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. I've been like super nostalgic here lately. It's been a while since I've heard this song. But yeah, that's how he would always say it. Be cool, baby. Be cool. Just be cool. Like, don't freak out. Calm down. My papa always knew how to talk to me. All right. Gratitude flying right out the deck. It always finds a way to show itself. Perfection on the bottom of the deck and release on the top of the deck. Release and healing. We've seen that energy out here multiple times today. Letting go of the old to make room for the new. Releasing. See how, like, the rain and the clouds and the cemetery? Ooh, ouch. Healing and releasing old wounds and emotions that are associated with people that are no longer here. Speaking of my papa, I don't think I have any wounds from my papa. He's probably like the only man in my life that treated me half decent. Being grateful for those relationships, whether it's family members, whatever, passed over loved ones, being thankful for those relationships, going along with the gratitude, thankful for the memories, thankful for the lessons, the knowledge that you gained from those people. Going back to what I was talking about earlier, about flipping the script. When you start getting in a negative mindset, flipping the script and trying to make yourself think of more positive things. So, when you start missing somebody who's passed over, whether it was family, friends, loved one, whatever, instead of getting sad because you miss them, remember the happy times. Embrace the good memories that make you smile, not the ones that make you sad. We talked about that. That's a very important skill to learn, to be able to do, because we can so quickly get sucked into that sadness, into that negativity. And so to be able to flip it and, find a positive spin on it, no matter what it is, that is a good skill to have. I miss my papaw. I loved him. He was more like a dad to me than a papaw, but he was kind of both. All right, release. Shadow Gray Storm. I can no longer keep your secrets. Nikita cuts through the graveyard as she rushes home in the wind and rain. She is terrified when Shadow Gray Storm appears and speaks in her own voice, repeating painful things she has said to herself and others. It's all your fault. I'll never forgive any of you. As she listens in the rain to her own words, she learns it is she who has been making herself miserable. She leaves the graveyard with a changed heart, ready to forgive herself and others. Inspiration. This is about personal responsibility and release of blame. It is time to clear the debris and move on. You cannot move forward while you continue to hide. Personal inquiry. This indicates healing family of origin issues. Am I ready to face my past and let go? Wow. It specifically mentioned family. That's kind of cray-cray. All right. Key ideas. Release, dwelling on the past, rights, anger, change in consciousness, judgment day, seeing clearly, hidden truth, great discovery. Key words: healing, remission, and integration. Releasing the old, making room for the new. Then gratitude, I don't even have to read that card. We see that card often, and I mean it's pretty much self-explanatory. Have gratitude in all ways. Not just in one area. Be grateful for everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And perfection, I won't read the legend, but we'll at least read the keynotes. Inspiration. Are you being too hard on yourself and consequently on others? Begin to look for what's right and good in your world, and you will see it. So, perspective. Personal inquiry. Where am I presently focusing? Knowing what's right and telling others about it might not be the best way of being. Key ideas. Alienating others, feeling alienated, seeking perfection, deeply desiring love, transformation ahead. Keywords: uniqueness, friendship, and acceptance. Accepting things how they are, knowing that this too shall pass, accepting people as they are. I say it here a lot. When somebody shows you their true colors, don't try to repaint them. Worry about your own portrait, not somebody else's. All right, now we're going to pull from the Archangel Fire Oracle. Last time we got Zaphkiel. We learned that the T is silent. Zaphkiel. The image depicts her as Isis from Egyptian history. We talk about it here all the time. Same story, different timeline. It's the story old as time. And every time I think of that, I think of Beauty and the Beast. Because that's that song. If you've ever seen the Disney Beauty and the Beast animated version. I don't know about any of the other versions. All right, Archangel Fire Oracle. Let's see what time it is. 7:04. Real time. 1:52:36 on the timer. We've been getting a lot of just like pop-up showers, thunder, lightning. Gagiel, number 16. Where was it earlier where we saw number 8 and number 16? Was that in the angel numbers? Sachiel, 21 on the bottom of the deck. Maribiel, 30 on the top of the deck. Strong feminine energy. All three women. All three women. Get back. I don't know if you guys can hear the radio or not, but if you catch me just kind of bopping every once in a while, that's why. All right. Her, I guess, general message is power. Her main message: your power comes from God and is the essence of love. Do not be afraid to use your power for good. Claim back your sovereignty and give yourself permission to follow your inner guidance. Take control of the steering wheel of your life. Choose your direction. What did I said something like that earlier. Yeah. Taking your power back, reclaiming your power. We had that last time in the Wandering Heart Oracle. All right, and then Sachiel, number 21. Wealth and charity. True wealth lies within. It is time to place more value on yourself so you can be generous without feeling drained. We talked about that already. Valuing yourself and teaching other people how to value you. It kind of happens simultaneously. As you learn to love yourself, you're also teaching other people how to love you. All right, and then Maribel, 30. She's all by herself in the Archangels of the Silver Ray. Chakra is the soul star. Color silver. Healing qualities, connection to higher self, realization of divine purpose, transcending karma, access to Akashic records, manifestation, and awakening. Crystal associations, silver, hematite, magnetite, meteorite, essential oil, star jasmine, star constellation, the Swan, and the Southern Cross. Reflection. Message. Life is a mirror. What are your outer circumstances reflecting back at you? What can you learn from these experiences? So, what did we talk about earlier? About whether it's a negative or a positive situation, there's always something to be learned. Whether it's about the people, places, things around you, yourself, about the world, there's always something to be learned. And typically, there's multiple perspectives that it can be viewed. And, with each perspective comes a new lesson. Feels the way I do about you now. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but you never really had a doubt. How do you feel about yourself? Don't worry about how other people feel about you. How do you feel about yourself? The winding lights lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. All right. Animal Spirit Guidebook. Animal Spirit Guidebook. Animal Spirit Oracle. Last time we got deer, scorpion, and elephant. You're my wonder. If you've never really, deeply listened to the lyrics of this song, Wonderwall, you definitely should. Let me move some of these out of the way so I'll have more room to shuffle. All right. Animal Spirit Oracle. Black egg literally just flew out. Panther on the bottom of the deck. Tiger on the top. We'll shuffle a little bit, but we'll take... Wow, I totally just dropped a whole bunch of them on the floor. Be the one that saves me. Don't wait for somebody to come save you. Save yourself. Camel, shark, hawk, dragon, tarantula, lizard, and owl. Save yourself. Don't wait for somebody to come save you. You'll waste away waiting for that. And then turtle is what flipped over. So black egg and turtle. Gonna be the one that saves me. All right. Black egg is a spirit card. Turtle is water energy. All right. Black egg, speaking from an authentic voice, the truth. The black egg contains one of life's essential treasures, the truth. Inside of it resides no confusion, excuses, small talk, noise, or lies, not even white ones. This living and breathing vessel harbors only that which rings true. When this essence is in balance, we speak slowly and clearly. We are drawn to activities like writing, reading, teaching, singing, or perhaps public speaking. Sounds draw us in, books draw us in. The concept of truth itself draws us in. The concept of truth itself, oh, I read that already, draws us in. We start asking questions like, what do I know to be true about myself? And what is true about the world? When the energy of the black egg is not yet assessed, we speak from an unsure place. We say things others want to hear, gossip, and repeat stories to justify our superb behavior. We might even try to convince ourselves that we have no inner truth at all. The energy of the black egg hovers and waits for us to reconnect. It is available in every moment and every situation. It is the epicenter of truth, the birthplace of your voice. The black egg in the fifth chakra, that's your throat chakra. It governs our speech and expression. The balance of the center is important for all of us, but is especially essential for writers, editors, musicians, and teachers. Speaking, not being afraid to speak your truth, or even standing up for somebody that is confirmation, that is unable to speak their truth. You know, the elderly, young children, and animals, they struggle to defend themselves and to speak their truth. Sometimes they need somebody to be their voice. All the time, really. All right, turtle. Ancient soul, grounded, trusting, at home in the self. It is wonderful to be in the presence of a turtle personality. Like the beaver, the turtle has a strong relationship with earth and water elements simultaneously. This helps to ground and to connect them to the deeper truths of life. Water represents emotions, no matter where their travels lead them. Turtle energy is behind all great writers and storytellers as they collect life experiences under their shells for later use. The most potent turtle energy helps us close all the other books and begin to tell our own true tale. When in balance, peaceful, adventurous, and productive. When out of balance, slows down to a halt. To bring into balance and adventure. We did talk about that earlier, about adventure, going swimming, going on a vacation, you know, some kind of a hike, something in nature, something that combines the elements of earth and water. All right, now we'll pull from the Herbal Astrology deck. Last time we got Mugwort, number 10, Psychic Healing. It is 7:16 real time. We got this and then Mary Magdalene, and then we're done for the day. 8/16 is your birthday? Oh, wow. I hope that, I'm sorry, I'm just now seeing that. I think it was in, now that you said that, now I want to look for that. I think it was in the angel numbers that we saw 816. I don't know. I've probably shuffled them since I saw it. But somehow, at some point, I'm probably going to have to go back and watch the video now. Somehow, 816 came up. Because I said 16 can be divided by 8. 8 is the denominator of 16. But I think it was in the angel numbers. But that August 16th. Last quarter moon is on August 16th. Gemini arms. Your birthday's on a Saturday this year. I think my birthday was on the weekend this year too. I think mine was on a Friday. No, mine was on a Monday. That shows you how much I pay attention. It's just another day for me. All right. Herbal Astrology Pocket Oracle. I did get a lot more herbs this last Amazon haul. I will be doing some Amazon haul videos on the other channel. Probably either tomorrow or Thursday. Okay. There's a lot of stuff that I've ordered over these past couple months that I'm not going to say that I feel obligated to give a review, but I don't tend to get excited anymore. Oh, yeah. For me, the birthday stuff kind of stopped with everything with my family. You know, once the family started kind of falling apart, birthdays just weren't the same anymore. And then, of course, you know, we, like you said, we get older. It's, which, I mean, really, it is still something to celebrate. It's a blessing that we've made it this far. You know, a lot of people we know each other locally. So, you know, a lot of people that we went to school with and that we knew, they're not here anymore. I try not to think about that stuff too much because it really does kind of make me sad. But at the same time, I definitely consider it a blessing that I'm still here. You know, sometimes I wonder, you know, why am I still here? You know, whatever. But that, you know, kind of going back to what we've talked about today, that's the kind of mindset that can cause us to spiral really quickly. And so I try, when I have those thoughts, you know, like I acknowledge them, but I try not to stay there too long. All right, we got Reishi, Reishi. That's a type of mushroom. Retreat, number 27. We were just talking about adventure, retreat, release. Number 27 breaks down to a 9. All right, retreat, recovery, meditation, hibernation, spiritual contemplation, replenishment of spirit. Astrological ruler, Jupiter and Sun. Wait a minute. Before you go. Okay. Reishi represents immortality and is considered the herb of spiritual potency, meaning success, well-being, divine power, and longevity. Said to have been discovered in 396 BC in the Changbai Mountains of China by Taoist monks. It is one of the oldest mushrooms used in medicine. It has long been called an anti-aging mushroom and powerful tonic, a category of medicines that nourish the spirit. In China's oldest Materia Medica medical book, the herbal classic written around about 200 CE, reishi held first place above ginseng. The text says it helps stabilize. I knew that was coming. Excuse me. Wow, it's been a while since I've just coughed like that. Says that it helps stabilize Ki. It's just QI in the head and assists in mental activities, tonifies the spleen, increases wisdom, and improves memory. Long-term consumption will lighten the body, increase vitality, and delay aging for years. Reishi's borderline miraculous properties are being researched, verifying ancient knowledge, including how the mushroom profoundly relaxes the nervous system, calms the mind, and induces a state of relaxed focus. One of the many reasons spiritual seekers consume this mushroom is for the spiritual experience it unlocks when in meditation. Recent studies have also demonstrated measurable life extending properties, as well as Rishi's ability to activate brain neurons and increase nerve growth factor levels in cells. Rishi powerfully influences our main spiritual centers, the endocrine, nervous, and hormonal systems. Hormones powerfully impact our perception, mood, sleep and wake cycles, ability to bond with others, and awareness of reality. They activate the nervous system, which is also directly related to igniting mystical experiences. Rishi is ruled by Jupiter, the guru of planets, the one that dictates how we derive wisdom and access to the mysteries of life. Jupiter has a vast quantity of spirit enhancing herbs that are often used in meditation and to induce altered states of meditation, like Rishi. Guidance. Pause. It's time for renewal. If you feel overwhelmed or mentally overloaded, it's time to retreat. Wow. Take time to recuperate and recharge, and personal growth will follow. That's like the 10th time that it's talked about personal growth, and that was one of the first affirmations we got this morning. Overstimulation and indecision lead to a sense of weakness, imprisonment, and a feeling that you are evading death. Like bear, hibernate or rest before you take on the next project or challenge. Many Native American tribes have called this space the intercontemplation, the dream lodge, a place to witness death and see beyond the confines of physical reality by visiting the dream time. Create the space to be in silence and calm the inner chatter. Reflection is the key to the path of self mastery. What did we talk about at the very beginning, where we talked about finding that quiet place and really blocking out the outside noise, and which will allow you to quiet the noise that comes within and actually be able to hear your body, to understand your body, to feel your body, to acknowledge your body, and the soul that lives within your body. Like I said at the beginning of this video, we are the avatars. I actually got to watch that movie last night for the first time in a long time. And, yes, I'm almost ashamed to admit that I still have not seen any of the other avatars besides the first one. I had the opportunity to see the second one once, and something ended up happening and I didn't get to watch it. But one of these days I will. But if you really dive deep into the understanding of that movie, We are the avatars, and Earth is the planet that they're destroying for all of the value that it has, for the things that nature makes, that this planet creates. We are the avatars, and they opened Pandora's box a long time ago. You know what I mean? All right. Mary, Mary, full of grace, what advice can you give us today? This is the Mary Magdalene Oracle, and then we'll be done for the day. I hope you all have a peaceful, positive, productive day today. If you're not going to have a productive day, I hope you have a pleasant, peaceful, love yourself kind of day. Find that balance between work and play, self-love, self-care. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be the weekend for us to do that. Seize those opportunities when they present themselves. The breath and surrender. And Mary Magdalene. Wow, we actually saw 3. We're not going to read all of these, but the good, I'm inherently good on the bottom of the deck. Mary Magdalene, love only ever expands. Surrender, I am in good hands. The breath is what was on the top. That's what we're going to take. I reclaim my soul. What did I just say? I love it when it comes full circle like that. All right, the breath. I reclaim my soul. Page 26. The Gospel of Philip reminds us that the breath emanates the flesh. We come to life with the first inhale when we've emerged from our mother's body, and we leave this body with an exhale when it's our time for what's next. The breath is so simple that it's perhaps the easiest aspect of being alive to take for granted. And yet the breath has the power and potential to bring us back to life. In this moment happening right now, just as it did when we were first born. Hold on. Let me go turn this radio down. It's, once it gets later in the day, when it's still kind of early, they do a good job playing a good amount of music. But, once it gets to be about that time where, people are in their cars going to work, that's when all that talk radio chatter crap starts. And I don't want that to be a distraction here. Okay. When we are trapped in one of the 7 powers of the ego, all we need to do is become aware of our breathing. If we can bring presence into the pain through an intentional breath, we can reclaim and remember our power to shift everything that comes next. We can take one intentional breath to return to the body and drop into the heart. We can take a second intentional breath to connect to the presence of love that rests within us. And then we can take a third intentional breath and surface drenched now with the presence of love to guide us. 3 intentional breaths can change everything. Do not take my word for it. Practice those 3 breaths, especially when you don't want to, especially when someone's yelling at you, or when you're the one yelling, when you're furious, or when you're more anxious than you've ever been, or when you're about to react in a hurtful way to someone who is hurting you. Just before reacting, just before repeating a pattern of hurting and being hurt, stop. Take 3 breaths. Return to the heart. Reclaim your soul. Then open your eyes, more anchored to how love might lead you. To kiss in Hebrew means to breathe together, to share the same breath or spirit. The Gospel of Philip reveals that Christ loved Mary more than all the disciples. he often kissed her on the mouth. It is through the breath that we can experience a new embrace, so that what comes next isn't from the ego alone. It's also from the heart of who we are. It's straight from the soul. The soul voice meditation. Take 3 intentional breaths right now to reclaim your soul. You know, that leads me back to the card we got from the Namaste deck. Hugs are free love. When we have those moments of despair, of sadness, of anger, frustration, whatever it is, even if you don't have somebody to share your breath with, you can share that energy. Imagine that hug that you long for, that loved one that you would just so desperately love to have a hug from them, and help that ground you, allow that to help you find your center. So a lot, we get it a lot, really, but it's something that needs encouragement and something that is important to prioritize that quiet time, that self-love, that ways of embracing and understanding our own energy. All right, with the new decks, we always go over the 2-hour mark now. It was 2:21:21 when I looked at the timer. I hope everybody has a joyful day. Find joy in the little things in life. As always, be grateful for what you have, the big, the small, and the blessings yet to come, because it could all be gone in the blink of an eye. None of us are guaranteed the rest of today, let alone tomorrow. If you see a need out there today, tomorrow, next week, if there's any possible way that you can fill that need, please do so. You may not only better their day, but you could possibly change their life, and you never know the impact it could have on yours. Be blessed, find peace, and I'll see you next time.